Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Library of the Weird. I hope you're doing fine wherever you are. I certainly am, because autumn is finally upon us, or fall, depending on where you live. And as some of you may know, I love autumn. It's my favorite season. I love going on walks when colorful leaves are lying on the floor. I love everything that has to do with pumpkins. I already made a casserole with pumpkin. I made pumpkin soup. I love drinking tea. This is the first, but it certainly won't be the last time I'm drinking tea in a video. I love everything that has to do with autumn, even the weather, because now when I'm going outside, I won't be as sweaty just from taking a few steps. And it's also October, and in case you didn't know, October is also the month where Halloween is. And because of that, I not only want to share with you all the books I'm going to read, or I'm planning to read in October, but I also want to talk a bit about where I am with media in general, what kind of movies I'm watching, what TV shows, what music I'm listening to, and stuff like that. But for those of you who are only interested in the books, this will be the first part I'm talking about, and you can find the chapters in the description and switch around however you want. But with that, let's go to the books. So when I did my summer wrap up, and in case you haven't watched it, you can watch it up here, I noticed something, and that was that in the last couple of months, I have basically only read kind of new books, like books that came out in 2023 and 2022. Even last month, I read Whale Fall, I read Holly by Stephen King, and with the books I'm currently reading, for example, I'm reading The Beast You Are by Paul Tremblay, which is a short story collection, and I'm also reading Rouge by Mona Awad, and those two are also very new books. They came out last month, and I decided I wanted to read older books I had lying on my shelf for ages, and I just didn't get around to reading them. And because of that, the stack of books lying next to me has only one newer book, and the others are all some are pretty old, some are not really that old. So the first book I'm going to read in October is Teatro Grottesco by Thomas Ligotty. If you don't know who he is, he's a pretty famous author in modern cosmic and weird horror fiction. He's sometimes called the new H.P. Lovecraft, although his style is pretty different. My first video on this channel was about Songs of a Dead Dreamer and Grimscribe, which is also a short story collection of Thomas Ligotty. This is also a short story collection which is a bit newer, and I had it on my shelf for a few months, and I really want to read it now. October, and especially the beginning of autumn, is always a time where I'm picking up speed when reading, because I usually have a lot more time. I'm not away every week, and it's getting darker outside when I get home from work, so I'm not really that interested in going outside after work. And it's also a time where I tend to read darker and slower horror. I still love slashers, but those are books for the summer. And I'm really excited for this book. The next book on my pile is actually the only new one in the stack, and this is Never Whistle at Night, which is an indigenous horror anthology, short story anthology, edited by Shane Hawke and Theodore C. Van Alst Jr. And I don't know too much about this collection. I'm just going to read the blurb so you know what it's about. Many indigenous people believe that one should never whistle at night. It can cause evil spirits to appear and even follow you home. These wholly original and shiver-inducing tales introduce readers to ghosts, curses, hauntings, monstrous creatures, complex family legacies, desperate deeds, and chilling acts of revenge. Introduced and contextualized by best-selling author Stephen Graham Jones, these stories are a celebration of indigenous people's survival and imagination, and a glorious reveling in all the things an ill-advised whistle might summon. So, yeah, you probably know why I'm really excited for this. I'm really looking forward to reading this book. The next book on my list is by far the oldest book on this list, and I don't know why I've never got around to reading it. This is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. It's only about 150 pages long, and it's about a family who lives pretty isolated, and I believe a relative comes visiting the family, and then weird things start happening. I really loved The Haunting of Hill House. There are many more books of hers I really want to read. I read a few short stories, and Shirley Jackson never disappoints. I really like her social commentary, especially in The Haunting of Hill House. And despite it being decades old, you still find things in there that are pretty relevant today. And this is why I'm super excited for this book and super excited that I finally will get around to read it. So the next book on my list is a bit of a wild card. I only found it because I searched something like, I think books like the movie Hereditary. It could be that I've searched for something else, but what came up was All Hail the Puppet King by Justin A. Burnett. I don't know much about this book. I only know that the stories in here are compared to the works of Thomas Ligotty, so I'm pretty excited for this. And actually, I lied earlier to you. I looked this book up and I found out that it was also published in 2022, so it's also pretty new, but well, who cares anyway. So yeah, I'm very excited for this. And the last book on my list is one I've had for quite a while, and I really don't know why I've never read it. This is Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman. And I bought this because I thought that I will really love it, because it has everything I want from horror. This book takes place in the medieval times in France, during the time of the plague. And I just love the mix of horror and history. So this is one I'm super excited for. I think this is the one I'm most excited for on this list. And yeah, this is basically it. I'm really hoping that I'm going to read all of these. I mean, if I don't, no big deal, but I will try my best to do this. And yeah, if you have some suggestions or you have some reading habits you use in autumn, please let me know, because I'm very interested in this. And with that, I quickly want to talk about some movies I want to see in October. And this is where you basically also can shoot me your suggestions, because I've watched a lot of horror movies, but every time I'm looking at horror lists, I'm finding out that I'm missing a lot. And if you have an idea of some horror movies you think one should know, but many people don't, then yeah, shoot me your suggestions. Some of the movies I want to watch in October are these. So one I'm really interested in is Malevolent, because it seems very, very creepy and disturbing. I love, or I like movies that feature something supernatural, and especially when it's connected to like a house or something like that. And as far as I've read, there's something of that in Malevolent. And I also very much liked Florence Pugh in Midsommar. The next film I really want to watch is X. I love A24 movies, and this is not only an A24 movie, but it's also a slasher, which is kind of a weird crossover for me. It was produced by Ty West, who is pretty famous, I think, and it stars Mia Goth and Jenna Ortega. And I really do like Jenna Ortega, so I'm really excited for this one. And the last movie I want to talk about is Last Night in Soho. I basically only want to watch this movie because it features Anya Taylor-Joy, and I just recently watched The Witch and I really liked her in it. So I'm very much excited for this one. I have a few other movies I want to watch, but yeah, please shoot me your suggestions. In terms of series, I'm currently watching, there's not so much horror there. I'm watching the 4th season of Sex Education. I think in the 3rd episode, and I really like this season so far. It never disappoints. It's one of my favorite shows. If you don't know, it's a bit of a high school movie, a British high school movie, and it features a guy who's on campus trying to be a sex therapist, and there's a lot of comedy, but it's really, really wholesome. It's very modern and LGBTQIA plus friendly. I like it very much. The other series I'm currently watching is the 2nd season of The Wheel of Time. I pretty much liked the first one, the first season. I've read all the books. I liked all the books, but I also like most of the changes they did for the show. If you don't know, it's a fantasy show with lots of magic going on. In terms of what kind of fantasy, it's a bit of, I'd say, classic fantasy. It's a typical from zero to hero story. It's a bit coming of age, and they also did great changes to like modernize the story. So far I've only watched the first episode of the 2nd season, but I'm planning on watching everything else, all other episodes that are out yet in October. And one series I really want to watch is Midnight Mass, because one, it seems to be quite like the Netflix show of The Haunting of Hill House, and there are other series I forgot the name, which also features some of the same actors, and I read on Twitter that Stephen King really liked the show, so I really want to give it a try this October. And in terms of everything else, what I've been up to, I've been going to a lot of concerts. I saw Blind Guardian last weekend, which was always kind of a dream of me. It's a power metal band that has a lot of fantasy themes. There are songs about Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion, and I really, really loved them as a teenager. And now, 15 years later, I'm seeing them live for the first time, and I really, really liked them. It was a great show. I'm still playing Baldur's Gate 3. I haven't gotten much playtime in. I think I'm at like 5 hours or something. I really, really like it, but I also didn't have that much time in the last weeks. So probably when October is getting a bit calmer, I'm going to finish the game, I guess. And yeah, that's basically it. I'm trying to up my skills at Photoshop, which you hopefully will see at the thumbnail of this video. I'm also started editing in Premiere Pro, and maybe I'm going to look into After Effects. But yeah, this is currently where I'm at. I'm really excited for this autumn. I hope you are too. And with that, I said everything I wanted. So goodbye. See you next time.